Welcome to another week in AI where ChatGPT is giving you shopping suggestions. Meta is looking at your entire usage history, sort of, to power their new AI mobile application. And there's practical and free tools that you can try right away that are both fun and educative. And from the comments on last week's video, a lot of you seem to have found that episode particularly valuable. And I think this is gonna be another one of those. But before I dive into all the stories, I wanna make one disclaimer because I'm changing a part of this format of news you can use. And that is addressing an issue that I've had with recording these episodes. Look, basically we get so many stories and me and the research team pull them together, test a lot of them, and then I present it back to you. But the fact of the matter is, as all of these technological developments get increasingly productized and there's so much marketing hype surrounding them, I find myself in this weird situation sometimes where I feel like I need to represent a product or a new release, but the reality is that it might not be as exciting as some of the marketing suggests. Or another particular case is just another LLM releasing out of China or some company, but it not being that interesting. It might be better on certain coding benchmarks or things like competition math, but I just don't find it that exciting. And I usually felt obliged to go a little beyond the surface of these releases, but honestly, I don't want to, and I don't even feel like they're that interesting. And my solution to that is a new segment at the end of this video, which is going to be sort of a quick fire segment covering some of the stories that I feel like you should know about, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on. So with that being said, let's get into this episode of AI News You Can Use, the show that pulls together all the releases from this week in generative AI, starting with the new ChatGPT upgrades. ChatGPT shipped yet another set of upgrades, so let's talk about them. Most significantly, we have this shopping feature that is now available to everybody, including free users without an account. They're really serious about this one. The gist of it is this: it's an upgraded search experience. By the way, search has also been upgraded on other fronts. I'll show you that briefly too. But basically now you have a brand new interface in ChatGPT that allows you to explore products. And I put this to the test and compared it with some other websites that I've been using most of my life basically to compare product prices. But first, let me just show you the basic interface. If you type something like "I'm looking for a coffee machine" in GPT-4o without even the search engaged, it's increasingly getting to this point where it just recognizes what tools you might need and it just uses them. Well, it doesn't just tell you about coffee machines from its training data, but it gives you multiple links right here. And if you click these links, it opens up this brand new interface where you have a comparison of various shops in your country that offer these. And look, this is quite extensive. This is not the top 2 or 3 shops. This is basically all of them. Or so I thought, because what I ended up doing is putting it to the test against this European website that I've been using all of my life. They're super strong in the German market, but they also have a European version of this. This is not sponsored. I just want to point this out. It's called Geizhals. Geiz is basically, I would actually translate it from German as being cheap. It's like a negative word, but on this website, you can basically put in any product. For example, the AirPods Pro 2nd generation USB-C right here. And then you can see all the different online shops that offer them sorted by price. And right away, this interface is very similar to what we see right here. I mean, different offerings sorted by price. So I went ahead and tested this for a few products, a lot of the standard ones like coffee machines, iPhones, etc. And first thing I noticed, this shopping feature doesn't just appear in every search when you're looking for a product. Sometimes you have to try multiple times, or sometimes you have to specifically ask to use shopping, and then it can come in this form or like an underlined title over here, but basically they do the same thing. Now, obviously this is the first version of this, and it might be lacking some features that I would love to see in here, but my first impression of this is, wow, this is a real alternative. Not just because some of the shop options are very good here, very competitive with what you can get from aggregators like this. I mean, look at that. It found sites where it costs 218 euros. The cheapest ones here are around the same price. I suppose there's some on eBay and there's one website that is 3 euros cheaper. But it also pulls in reviews and sort of a summary of the reviews and the overall sentiment here for you if you're looking for a product. Really interesting. Now, one thing that I personally love about this aggregator, where hey, if anybody at OpenAI is watching this would be the most incredible feature, is a price history feature where you can look at the last year and see how the cheapest price has been changing. But that's really being nitpicky. This works super well and it directly links you to all the stores that you might want to look at, like the official Apple store or some of the biggest Portuguese retailers. One important fact here is that they point out that, hey, ChatGPT is picking these products independently. Now, that is status quo, and over time that might and probably will change. And in this blog post, there's a form at the bottom where other retailers can apply to be showed in these results. But I think this overall concept is very strong because this does lead you to your result faster than a Google search would. And the fact that it is opinionated and it makes recommendations as in, hey, these are the top 3 you want to consider and these are the things you should watch out for. This is in German because I asked for AirPods Pro in Germany to compare to the German site back here. The fact that it includes reviews and all of these opinions from different social media networks, artworks and blog posts is a surprisingly good experience, especially for the first version of the product. So I don't know, as of right now, this is just a net positive. And also the search feature here was enhanced. And particularly the one thing that I want to highlight is that all these references here in the text, like here in the English search, when I look at this reference, I can see that the information that it pulled from the Apple website here is represented in this part of ChatGPT's answer. So I can easily attribute the citations to the results. Before it just showed that, hey, it used the Apple site, but it didn't show you which part of the result comes from there. This is super useful, independent of the shopping feature. So some real upgrades for the ChatGPT experience. And overall, I just noticed that it just uses these tools more automatically. I don't even engage search, and it feels like most of my results are using search. And with that being said, I want to address one more change in ChatGPT over the last week. And that's the whole issue of ChatGPT being a little too optimistic about pretty much anything that you threw at it last weekend. They released a whole blog post about it, and there's a AMA on Reddit with the head of model behavior, which apparently is referred to as sycophancy, a word that I wasn't familiar with. So I went into ChatGPT and ran one of the prompts that I find myself using regularly. A little tip here. Definition of sycophancy for 5 different ages. And it shows you for a 6-year-old, it would say it's acting super nice to someone just because you want them to like you and give you things not because you really feel that way. And for 25-year-old plus, which is most of the viewers of this channel, the adjective refers to obsequious conduct marked by servile, self-serving flattery towards those of higher status or influence, typically to secure favor or advancement. And there's some very specific words in there. I kind of like the 6-year-old definition more. That's why this prompt is a good one that you can add to your prompt database if you want. Point being, it was way too agreeable, and a lot of people didn't like this for good reason. And now they rolled these changes back, and even Sam Altman was tweeting about this. And it was this whole ordeal over the last weekend, but now GPT 4.0 is back in the last version. I have to be honest, I myself didn't even notice it that much because I find myself inside of O3 or GPT 4.5 all of the time, basically, with maybe the exception of me needing image generation. Then I go to GPT 4.0. If you're wondering what's up with ChatGPT last weekend, there you go. This AMA is quite interesting. They talk about the vision for the personality of ChatGPT moving forward. If you care about that, there's only a few answers here, link in the description. And those were the changes for ChatGPT this week. Quick story time. Back in the day when I started making content for clients, that's 11 years ago now, I thought I would spend most of my time actually creating things. But in reality, if you start any type of business, a big bulk of your tasks turn out to be administrative. And a lot of entrepreneurial people, when they get started, that is not what they signed up for. And throughout the years, as I met more and more entrepreneurial people, I realized this is a problem across the board. If you want to be independent, no matter what job you choose, you always end up doing way more admin work than you'd like. And if you too feel like that, you should definitely check out the sponsor of today's video, HoneyBook. Because HoneyBook is an all-in-one CRM that helps entrepreneurs manage client work, automate a lot of the busy work, and streamline finances, all from one super clean, easy-to-use platform. And you might have already guessed it, they integrated AI into all of this. It can put together project summaries, draft emails, take notes during meetings, and many more things that you would expect, all from one place. But beyond that, it also handles proposals, contracts, invoicing, scheduling while keeping everything professionally branded, and again, in one spot. That's really what you want if you're starting out or only have a small team at your disposal. The whole idea is to free up entrepreneurs to do the things they signed up for and they're actually good at, rather than having to deal with finances, proposals, and such. So if that resonates with you, HoneyBook is completely free to try. You don't even need a credit card to sign up. All you need to do is hit the link at the top of the description and give it a shot today. I just know this would have been a lifesaver for me back in the day when client work was my bread and butter. And if I learned one thing in business over the years is that you should really double down on the things that you're good at rather than taking away from the one thing that you shine at by trying to wear too many hats. And HoneyBook does exactly that. So again, a big thank you to HoneyBook for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the next piece of AI news that you can use. Okay, the next story is one that I particularly have been excited for because Meta finally released a mobile app that includes a whole bunch of new features. I haven't tried it yet. I wanted to give it a first shot during this recording. So let's just do that. I downloaded this from the App Store as opposed to the Meta web online assistant. This is available in Europe and in most regions around the world. So let's just have a first look at this together because from what I've seen in the initial announcement, there's a few parts here that seem very promising, but are also at the very edge of this privacy discussion. Particularly this part that says your Meta AI assistant also delivers more relevant answers to your questions by drawing on information you've already chosen to share on Meta products, like your profile profile and content you like or engage with. So hold up, this assistant is gonna know about every single thing I've liked. Does that include Instagram interactions of 20-year-old Igor from 11 years ago when I was young and frankly quite stupid? Is that gonna be in the context of my AI assistant? Well, I don't know. Let's see. Let's open up the app and see how this goes. Okay, so I suppose I'm gonna set this up with the AI Advantage Instagram page here, which we've become increasingly active on, by the way. If you're on Instagram, check out ai.advantage. We started to do way more on there. Anyway, back to this. Let's get started in here. Okay, let's give it Bluetooth access. I do not have a device. Okay, but when I just exit out of that, let's just say describe me in 3 emojis. Okay, those are appropriate emojis, but it's telling me it doesn't know much about me. Let's dig into the settings here right away. And I just want to point out this thing is based on Llama 4. And if I go into memories, you can see there's nothing saved in the memory. So I'll have to interact with it a little bit. So I guess it's not pulling as much from the past as I would expect it to. And they have this experimental voice in here too, but that doesn't access recent information or memories. So I'll keep that off for now. And let's just open up a chat and tell it, hey, I want you to ask me a series of questions to learn more about myself and to build memories for the Meta AI assistant. Focus on professional questions regarding my company page.
Sure thing. Let's get started then. What's your company's primary industry or sector?
Generative AI, content creation, newsletters, education, workshops, webinars. Let's just fast forward through this and look at what it saved in the memories after this little conversation. Okay, there you go. After a few minutes of conversations right here, I think it saved multiple memories. It said memories updated multiple times. So let's just have a look at this. I think you could do this exercise yourself easily. I also have to say the voice model is really good here. It just sounds fluent. It doesn't interrupt ever. Matter of fact, I would say it's even a bit more fluent than the ChatGPT one that does have a tendency to still interrupt sometimes. This was great. And yeah, there you go. A bunch of memories to get the party started over here. I'll round this up by asking one last question, which is, what do you know about my usage history on Instagram? What posts do I like? What content do I share? Tell me everything you know.
I don't have any information about your usage history on Instagram, the types of posts you like, or the content you share. My knowledge is limited to what you've shared with me directly in our conversation.
Interesting. So apparently it doesn't have any of that, but it's pointed out in the blog post. So maybe that's going to come in future versions. Anyway, this seems very capable. It's completely free. It's available everywhere. You can generate images in here and you can add meta devices, obviously. And there it makes a lot of sense to have the assistant right on your head. Anyway, nice little development. Meta throwing their hat into the ring of voice assistants and mobile apps. Great option if you don't want to pay for a plan, honestly. I mean, the Llama 4 models are super solid and their voice assistant is particularly good here. Yeah, although I don't think that I'll personally be using this on a regular basis. I think this is a great option for many people. Let's see what's next. The next piece of AI news you can use this week is the Adobe Firefly release. And this is not just a new image generation model. They updated their entire platform. And this is one of the things I think we should look at because they're really aiming at creating an all-in-one home for AI content creation. Not just a new model, although yes, they did release one with Adobe Firefly Image 4. And this is what it looks like right here with the Firefly Image 4 selected. I want to just quickly look at this platform before we look at the model, because I think that's the most interesting part of the story here. As you can see, they picked various tools that are popular within the AI image and video communities, like styles and control over composition. There's various views, but overall they kept this very, very simple. But here in their model picker, they have their own models and then some of the best external models. They have Google's Imagen 3 and ChatGPT image generation, which, as we talked about last week, is now available through the API. So we see it pop up in a bunch of other apps. And I could just add that in here. Now that one will not be included in the free package because the highest quality images there cost 25 cents per image, as I showed you last week. But yeah, if you want one platform to work from, then this is a good choice. Now let's talk about their new model, Firefly 4. And then there's also the Ultra version of it. We ran out test prompts on both of these models. So here you have a comparison of Imagen 3, Firefly 4, and Firefly 4 Ultra. Even the Ultra model overall, I would say, is okay. It's a good model, but just not close to some of the top tier models. I mean, just look at the cinematic still. The TV's melting. This woman's foot looks like she's a zombie. The reflection here is incorrect. And even these other images don't particularly impress me. But the one thing with Adobe's model is the fact that they are the most creator-friendly model, meaning it's only trained on images that they have the rights to. So if you were ever worried about copyright on AI-generated images, this would be the model for you. Fun fact, if you look for the word creator, it appears 16 times in this release blog post. I think that's really who they want to target with this release. And yeah, that's their image generation platform and their new model. On to the next one. Okay, this one is such a fun little application. This comes out of Google Apps. It's completely freely available. I believe it should be accessible around the world. All you need to do is sign in with Google, and then it allows you to improve your language skills with various AI-supported lessons. And the way they did this, the interface, the gamification, all of it, I gotta say, this is probably the best AI language learning interface that I've seen yet, which, oh, just by the way, reminds me of this memo by Duolingo that went a little viral over the past week, where the CEO pointed out that from here on out, they're gonna be an AI-first company, and that this is clearly the next platform shift after mobile in 2012. And yeah, that essentially the biggest AI language learning app in the world is going full on AI first. Thought that was interesting, and I wanted to link it to this story. But let's get back to little language lessons, because this is a thing you can use today for free just by logging in here. And you have multiple things. So one of them is tiny lessons where you can refine your vocabulary. So for example, I had 5 years of French in school. And then in typical French fashion, I'll just try to express that I'm annoyed. There's different vocabulary that you might want to consider, various phrases, and concrete tips. Je suis ennuyé, is that correct?
Je suis ennuyé.
Je suis ennuyé.
Je suis ennuyé.
Je suis ennuyé. Okay, what about this one? Je ne ras-le-bol.
J'en ai ras-le-bol.
J'en ai ras-le-bol. Oh wait, that says I've had enough. J'en ai ras-le-bol.
J'en ai ras-le-bol.
And there you go, a fun little tool. Very different from what you would get from Google Translate, right? There you just get one phrase, here you get different options and tips. I thought that was nice, but the one that I really want to show you here is Slang Hang. This was both my and the team's favorite during our testing of this. And I'm just gonna pick Australian English just because that's an accent that I cannot do at all.
How you going, Johnny? Goes, not feeling too bloody good, mate. I'll tell you that much.
And I love Australian people, but sometimes I just don't understand what they mean with their little phrases. So with Slang Hang, you could kind of practice that. So what is this one? Cricket? What? Cricket? This is a bit out in the wop-wops. In it, isn't it? I need some help here. A common exclamation expressing surprise, amazement, or concern. Ah, so they say cricket instead of wow?
Crikey.
Crikey. And then with space, you can just get more. What in the blue blazes was that?
Yeah, Bluey. What in the blue blazes was that?
What the heck? Whoop whoop. A bloody hot air balloon.
Bloody hell!
In the middle of whoop whoop.
A bloody hot air balloon in the middle of whoop whoop. Who'd have thought?
A remote isolated place. Learn something again. And then the last one here is WordCam. So I started learning Portuguese a little bit. So let's give this access to my cam. And then yeah, I guess I could just hold up something. How about this pen that I bought in the Harry Potter area of Universal Studio in Japan? A very useful object, by the way. Everybody needs a feather pen. Oh, so it can tell. A pena. Yeah, it understands that it's a pen. A pena. A pena.
A pena.
A pena. Well, there you go, a pena. What an incredible app. Go and try it out for yourself. I love seeing experiments like this because it really shows the potential of AI. Traditional interfaces weren't built for this, and Google Apps always pushes what an AI-powered interface should look like. All right, let's see what's next. And this is Higgsfield. I swear, this gotta be one of the funnest weeks we've ever had, because when I saw this feature, at first I was just like, another AI video thing. Okay, I've seen those before. No. You might recall that Higgsfield is the one video generator that is really good at human anatomy. And now they have this super fun feature where you can recreate iconic scenes from movies. Some of the first ones are some of my favorite movies like Pulp Fiction or Django over here. And by using this, I should really easily be able to recreate that with my very own avatar. So let's just give this a first look. Right away, there's a bunch of presets we could pick from, but this is just the explore page. We want to go to this iconic tab, and this is what I want to see. Oh my God, I just got to do this Pulp Fiction one, no? So here's one image of me, and then we're going to do Daniel that helps me with the research on these videos. And they do immediately prompt you to subscribe, but I believe you should be able to try this feature for free. Just takes a bit. And there we go. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I suppose that's me. Yeah, and yeah, that's definitely Daniel. Hell yeah. I'm ready to quote Ezekiel 25:17. If you want to try this for yourself, you can do one of these for free per account. Not bad. Let's see what's next. Okay, and then here's the quickfire segment on all the other AI releases, which you might find interesting, but we didn't do a full segment on them. Okay, so we have Google's Music AI Sandbox rolling out in early access. There's a form you can sign up to, but they're only giving access to people who are working with that industry. And from the samples here, this sounds like one of the best, if not the best, music generator so far. They only teased it before. It's called Lyria. Now it's available in this new interface. That's behind the waitlist right now. Then we have Character AI, which, if you didn't know, is just one of the biggest AI websites ever. Over half of the usage is from 18 to 24-year-olds. And they have 200 million people visiting their platform each month with an average session duration of 2 hours, which is wild. And they're releasing their first avatar product now. So until now, they only offered chatbots to talk to. Now they're adding fairly basic avatars to them where you're talking to something visual rather than just to a chatbot that replies in text. Okay, then we have multiple models coming out of China. And as mentioned, I'll just glaze over these. So one of them is Qwen3 from Alibaba. This one got the most attention this week with competitive results on all the thinking benchmarks. Then we've seen some initial rumors of a DeepSeek R2 coming soon. And then we have Baidu releasing Ernie 4.5 and Ernie X1 Turbo. These models are cheaper and faster than the versions before. Here's the benchmarks comparing it to DeepSeek's models and OpenAI's O1. I think the most impressive part about this one is the cheap pricing. The AI model race to the bottom continues. And that's pretty much everything we have for this week. I hope you find something that will be useful to you. My name is Igor. I do this every single week. If you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you have a wonderful day.